Today, I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite tournament or GPP plays for this Week 7 NFL Draftkings main slate, and like I always do here with these videos, I'm going to kick it off with a couple of game stacks that I like, and then we'll dive into some of my favorite individual plays and stacks. With that being said, let's dive right into it. Kicking things off here with the game stacks that I like, we're going to start with this game between the Chiefs and Chargers. Now, this game in general likely will be very popular to target, has the highest implied game total of 48 points for the main slate, but I'm going to try and differentiate my lineup by attacking the Chargers passing game, and I like stacking up Herbert with his wide receiver Joshua Palmer and his tight end in Gerald Everett, and then running it back with Isaiah Pacheco. Now, don't get it wrong here, I absolutely have no problem with Patrick Mahomes and that passing game for the Chiefs, but both Mahomes and Travis Kelce are projected to be top 2 owned at their position, whereas someone like Herbert has a projected ownership right now of just 5.5%. Plus, he's been very good against this Kansas City team over the course of his career. He's racked up 15 touchdowns and has a passer rating of 107.3 in 6 career games. Now, as far as Pacheco goes here, he's got a really good matchup. This Chargers defense isn't really good overall, but they've really struggled against the run this year, ranking 24th overall in rush defensive DVOA. And then the second game stack that I like here this week is that game between the Cardinals and Seahawks, and I like attacking the Seahawks offense in general with Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker, and Tyler Lockett, and then running it back with Marquise Brown on the Cardinals side of things. Now, the reason I like stacking up Kenneth Walker here with Geno Smith isn't because he's heavily involved in the passing game, and while he certainly should see a few targets in this game, I more so like the team implied total here for the Seahawks at 26 points. That's the second most on the main slate here this week, and the implied game total is 44.5. That's the third most on the main slate. And the reality is, this Cardinals defense is just not very good overall. Whether you want to attack them with the running game or passing game, you should be able to find success. This Cardinals defense ranks 31st in total defensive DVOA, and I like running it back with Hollywood there on the Cardinals side of things because this Seahawks defense has allowed the most fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers this season. Now, folks, before we dive into some of these individual plays and stacks here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. We're trying to get Slydog Sports here to 4,000 subs, and every like, comment, and sub on this channel here truly goes a long way. You guys have been awesome so far this year, so let's keep that rolling. Alright, now diving into some of these individual plays and stacks here, we're going to kick it off at the quarterback position, and really just like the Packers offense in general here this week. That includes Jordan Love at $5,800 on Draftkings. We need 23.2 Draftkings points in order for him to hit 4x value, and he's actually hit 20 plus Draftkings points in 3 of 5 games, but he has been significantly better when he's not been pressured. Completely different player, really. The good thing is this Denver defense does not have a great pressure rate, ranking second to last in the NFL, and reality is this Denver defense is just brutal all around, ranking dead last in total defensive DVOA. Now, diving into a couple of running backs that I like here, we're going to stay on the Green Bay train here with Aaron Jones, priced at $6,800 this week, where we would need 27.2 Draftkings points in order for him to hit 4x value. I just mentioned it, this Denver defense is brutal all around, ranking 31st overall in defensive rush DVOA, and they've actually allowed the most fantasy points per game to opposing running backs this season. Now, if you look right now, you're going to see that Aaron Jones is questionable for Sunday, but the beat writers out of Green Bay have said that he's looked really good at practice this week, the Aaron Jones that we're accustomed to seeing. Now, I would prefer to play Jones as a one-off versus stacking him up with Jordan Love, but I don't think that's out of the question either, especially if you're really trying to get unique with your tournament lineups. And then another tournament running back that I like here this week is Brian Robinson Jr. of the Washington Commanders. He's priced at $5,800 this weekend in a good matchup on the road against the New York Giants, where we would need 23.2 Draftkings points in order for him to hit 4x value. Now, Robinson here is very game script dependent. When the Commanders are trailing, his role diminishes quite a bit, but when they're playing with a lead, they love to run the ball, and he's the primary go-to back. And the good news is the Commanders are favored at 2.5 points here heading into New York. Plus, this Giants defense has not been good against the run all year long, ranking 30th overall in rush DVOA, while allowing the 8th most fantasy points per game to opposing running backs this season. Alright, now diving into these wide receivers here, I do want to mention, if you haven't checked out my cash plays video yet, make sure you go do that here after this video. We got 6 teams on bye here this week, so it's definitely more of a condensed slate. A lot of plays in my cash game pool are going to be in my tournament pool as well. For example, Cooper Kupp, I plan to have a lot of exposure to him, but another wide receiver that I would be willing to pay up for here this week is Stephon Diggs of the Buffalo Bills, priced at $8,900 heading on the road into New England to play the Patriots, where we would need 35.6 DraftKings points in order for him to hit 4x value. Diggs has been a volume monster this year, 31% target share, 43% air yard share, and a 42% first read share. And actually, since joining the Bills, Diggs has dominated this Patriots defense with an average stat line of close to 7 receptions, close to 95 yards, and 1 touchdown per game, and he's got a 6-game sample size to back those stats up. The next guy I want to highlight here then is Christian Watson, again going back to this Green Bay Packers offense in a great matchup this weekend against the Denver Broncos. He's priced at $5,600, where we would need 22.4 DraftKings points in order for him to hit 4x value. A nice little cheaper mini stack that you can do with Jordan Love. He played 84% of the snaps in week 5, really played that full role, so I like to see that. Plus, the Packers had a bye last week, so he should be healthy heading into week 7 here. And again, I don't need to reiterate this, but I will. This Broncos defense ranks dead last in pass DVOA this year. And then I like going back to the well here with Drake London of the Atlanta Falcons. Talked about him last week, and he did get a slight price bump up here this week, priced at $5,100, but overall still very affordable at that price. In a matchup on the road here against the Buccaneers, where we would need 20.5 DraftKings points in order for him to hit 4x value. The last 5 games, he's seen a lot of volume, a 23% target share, 31% air yard share, and a 27% first read share. Really like to see that number. Plus, he's also seen 8 red zone targets this year. That's the 12th most amongst all wide receivers. Really, outside of week 1, he's seen a lot of volume go his way. He's actually seen 6+ targets in every single game outside of week 1. Now, when it comes to the tight ends here this week, I did highlight some cheaper tight ends in my cash plays video yesterday, but I think Mark Andrews here this week, priced at $5,700, is far too cheap. I think he should be priced in the mid 6K range, especially considering the matchup at home against this Detroit defense, who have allowed the most fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends this year. We know what Mark Andrews can do. We know the ceiling that he has. A guy who's seen a 22% target share this year, someone who can go for 20, 25, even 30+ DraftKings points. So I'm going to be trying to get him in as many tournament lineups as I can this week. And then to wrap up this video here, we're going to talk a couple of defenses that I like for tournaments this week. Now, if you do want to spend up, I like the situation the Washington Commanders are in. Yeah, they're expensive at $3,500, and yes, they've been a little hit or miss this year, but I do like the matchup on the road against the New York Giants. They're going to be facing an either injured Daniel Jones or the backup in Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. Either way, it seems like a good scenario for them, and we would need 14 DraftKings points in order for them to hit 4x value, but this Giants offensive line has allowed the highest sack rate percentage this year, and if the Washington defense thrives in any one area, it's that defensive line, ranking 11th best in sack rate percentage at 8.4%. And then if I'm looking to spend down at the defensive position here this week, I think the Baltimore Ravens are a little too cheap at $2,500 playing at home against the Detroit Lions, where we would need 10 DraftKings points in order for them to hit 4x value. Now, don't get me wrong, this Lions offensive line is legit, one of the best in the NFL, but so is this Ravens defensive line. They actually rank second in sack rate percentage this year at 9.1, and you can see the numbers there. They've racked up 24 total sacks in 6 games, averaging 4 per game, while having forced 8 turnovers as well. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks. Let's win some money on this Week 7 main slate. And in the meantime, I'm out of here.